Hi, I'm Jay Edwards of incQbait, and welcome to the first of 2 new videos about our baits. In this first episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about incQbait, but more importantly, about our small range of pop-ups. The second episode that we're hoping to bring you sort of more towards the end of the year, we're going to concentrate on the bottom baits and introduce you to our liquids as well. So, first of all, why incQbait? Well, I developed the company basically because I was frustrated with the amount of off-the-shelf brands and other baits available out there that you can buy, which is kind of ironic because I've gone and created another company for everybody to sort of have a look at. Plus, also the confusion, the amount of baits that's out there can hold for an angler, especially if you're new to it. But also for myself, I was a little bit frustrated because I wasn't getting the consistent results as I'd like with my own fishing because of that dilemma purely. But over time, I've learned more about bait and bait application and hopefully learn to fish a little bit better. But that said, I still wasn't overly happy with the results I was getting. So what I decided to do was essentially put the rods down for a little while, and I took up some serious learning on the bait making side of things and what makes bait tick and everything else, attractors and so on for a carp. And then after a successful first couple of sessions after creating my first set of baits, I then sort of took the plunge and decided to set up incQbait. And now we have a small team of passionate anglers who are doing an absolutely fantastic job of testing the baits. But as I said, in this video, I want to have a look at the pop-ups, also the possible situations you may want to use them for your own angling. Okay, so we've had a look around. I've given you a bit of spiel about the company itself, about incQbait. So while we're waiting for the rods to go off, while everything's been baited and stuff, what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at our pop-ups. So what I thought we'd do would be have a look at the first one, which is called the Zeros. And the reason they're called the Zeros is basically because there's no flavour to them. And the idea behind this bait itself is to give the angler a choice of what flavour to add. So you might have all these goos and you might have all these soaks and stuff that that work for you quite well in other baits. But this time around we thought we'd bring out this pop-up so you can do the same sort of thing. So it's really a plain pop-up boilie, just the pop-up mix itself. It's got a little bit of hemp oil in there just to help with the buoyancy and keep the water from soaking in too much. But basically it is an empty flavoured boilie or pop-up boilie for you to just basically add whatever you want to it and whatever sort of works for you in your sort of fishing setup and how you go about baiting your swim. I think it's probably one of the most unique baits out there on the market, if you want to call it a bait, because there's just absolutely nothing in it to attract a fish, and essentially it's just down to you, the angler, to do what you want with it and fish with it however you want. So that one's really worth a try, so have a look at that one. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one. So this next one is called Lemonesque, and essentially the flavour of Lemonesque is lemon and garlic, so it's really got this potent smell. Also the colour itself, I don't know if you can see that through the tub. The colour itself is like a fluoro yellow, and essentially I designed this particular pop-up to be used more in winter because of the more, it has a very strong smell to it, and also the visual representation in the sort of the winter water when the alleged rumour of carp, not the eyesight of a carp, isn't as good in the winter. So, we're going with that old adage of keeping the bait very bright and also very smelly for a winter fest for your fishing. So if there's one of our baits that you want to use in winter, I really thoroughly recommend that one, so go for it. Okay, so next in the range, this one's a little bit different. This one's called Kelp, and this one actually has kelp liquid as part of the flavour itself, but also what we've done as well, we've added a slight fruitiness to it. So what you've got is like a fruity seaweedy, salty sort of flavour to it. And kelp, being kelp, is one of the new sort of superfoods, if you will, as well, out there now, sort of becoming a bit bigger in the sort of the carp food world. So this flavour, along with things like spirulina, are sort of working absolute magic catching carp. This one in particular has been a favourite of mine, testing sort of more in the autumn, winter sort of time, and I found that the carp have really sort of gone for it, sort of in the sort of duller waters as well. So yeah, they're not quite bird's eye peas, but they really are a good pop-up sort of towards the end of the season. So we're coming up for another one of our pop-ups. So this one's more of a fishy, fruity flavour. This is called Cray Berry. So basically it's crayfish and cranberry, sort of all rolled into one. This particular bait has been very, very good for us while we've been testing it. And it also comes in this faded red colour, which is very, very useful for clay bottom lakes. And it just seems to work in that sort of arena, if you will. And it's been very, very successful as well with barbel as well. So if you're a barbel fisherman and you're watching this, this has been really, really good as well on the river. So it's sort of best of both worlds, really. It's great for carp, and it's been really good for barbel. And our guys have been on it since its inception, back when we first started making bait. So yeah, if you fancy something on the river or fancy something in the lake, this one's the one to go to as well. Last but not least, this is our flagship pop-up. This is called V-Crab. As the name suggests, it's got crab in it. It's very strong. It's a very potent smelling bait and has been very, very successful in testing and stuff. The V itself stands for vanilla. So there's a slight hint of vanilla on top of the crab. So if you do decide to sort of stick your nose into the pot, it's not going to blow your brains out in terms of smell. So it's a bit more gentle on the senses, and also I think when it goes in the water, I think it's a bit more gentle in terms of dispersion as it goes through the water column as well. But it's still a very, very attractive bait, and like I say, it's our flagship pop-up in our current pop-up range, and it's really worth getting on if you want to keep getting those bites coming in. So that's 5 flavours we've looked at in the range. Let's have a quick recap of what they are. So we've got V-Crab, Cray Berry, Zeros, Lemonesque and Kelp. But before we sign off, a quick reminder to check out our other pop-up that's been released, and that's the squid ink. That can be found over at www.incubate.com. Many thanks for watching, and hopefully we will have another video for you recorded very soon regarding our bottom baits.